stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most are off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedledum, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leave him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beach dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay-at-home Disney dad.
You gotta love the 80s. George Michael was alive and clapping his little heart out in Wham. Neon was everywhere, the wall came down, there was a baby in a well, and the folks at Disney apparently momentarily lost their minds. It's a curious term because the decade itself had such an innocence about it. All the mainstream blockbusters had a PG flavor as childhoods brimmed with creatures you couldn't feed after midnight, time-traveling DeLoreans, mannequins that came to life, ghosts that needed busting, and smart-ass number 5 robots. If you wanted to hinge a payday in the entertainment industry in the 1980s, you had to toe that family-friendly line. So why it was smack dab in the middle of this decade that Walt's group decided to stand atop Cinderella's castle and give kids innocent childhoods the animated middle finger in the form of this, I'll never know. Why? What am I looking at here? First off, I'll jump to the end. I loved Black Cauldron. It's one hell of a movie, but why and how Disney put their stamp on this is a conundrum. When I first decided to embark on this Disney VHS binge-watching mission with my 2-year-old daughter, I went to my sister's house to borrow her 2 giant totes of these classic white clamshelled movies. As I loaded them into my SUV, my sis cut through the small talk and said, "Don't watch Black Cauldron with your daughter." Like the homeless guy warning the teenagers, "You're all gonna die up there," as they stopped for gas on their way to Camp Crystal Lake, I ignored my sister's foreshadowing. Come on, this is a Disney movie. And I left Black Cauldron in the bins to be randomly chosen by a toddler with the rest of them. I'll admit my sister's warning gave this movie a little more mystique than the rest, but I remained true to my toddler lottery method, waiting for her to randomly choose it on box art merit alone. The stars finally aligned last week, and with a big pair of smiles, we popped BC into the VCR. Play. Narrator. Legend has it in the mystic land of Purdain there was a king so cruel and so evil that even the gods feared him. Since no prison could hold him, he was thrown alive into a crucible of molten iron. There his demonic spirit was captured in the form of a great black cauldron. For uncounted centuries the Black Cauldron lay hidden, waiting while evil men searched for it, knowing whomever possessed it would have the power to resurrect an army of deathless warriors and with them rule the world. Stop. Hey, Macy, why don't we pick a different movie tonight? Fast forward 4 hours later and I'm watching this movie alone and I'm not sure how I feel about it. This project was supposed to tie it together, parenting and writing, and now I'm just a grown-ass man watching a cartoon in my basement by myself. Okay. Guilt hangs heavy in the rumpus room tonight. Hashtag 80. With a determined sip of an 8:38 p.m. coffee, forward I trudge. Tehran is a young farmhand that dreams of being a warrior, but instead he's left in charge of the pigs by Dalbin the Enchanter. Dalbin the Enchanter sounds like a DJ from the 1990s. If luck would have it, one of the pigs, Henwen. Yes, Dalbin the Enchanter named his pig Henwen. Pause. Okay, now I'm looking around the basement paranoid. Someone is watching me absorb this gibberish without any child by me. Okay. Play. Anyway, Henwen the pig has magic powers and the Horned King knows about it. He wants to kidnap the pig and force it to show him where the Black Cauldron is. Now a quick note on the Horned King. This guy is easily, hands down, the baddest mother in the entire Disney universe. What is his deal? This cloaked skeletal man with antlers is downright terrifying by regular movie standards, never mind Disney standards. Just seeing and hearing this guy grinds my ability to continue the review to a complete standstill. My thirst for knowledge overwhelms me. Google time, Black Cauldron, oh my god. Disney's first ever PG rated movie, and scenes had to be removed to drop it from its original PG-13 rating. Known by fans as the movie Disney tried to bury, video release was delayed for years because of its dark content. Tim Burton's only involvement in the animated Disney movie, he worked as a conceptual artist. Parents stormed out of the initial screening with their terrified children screaming, and I believe it. Apparently, this inspired the Legend of Zelda franchise. Finally, it was rumored to be Disney's answer to the Dark Crystal. I'm trying to put myself within the company Disney at this point in time. Fallen from the glory days of their 50s and 60s, they're looking for that next hit to restore them to glory. The stoic Disney executives are all standing around the office one morning smoking cigarettes like you did in the 80s, shrugging their shoulders, when someone comes crashing in with a copy of The Dark Crystal, slams it on the table, and everyone agrees that making terrifying content that permanently scars their young audience is indeed the way to go. Fascinating. Dolben smartens up Turan about the magical pig and sends him on a mission to keep Hen Wen hidden and out of the evil clutches of the Horned King. Turan accepts his first assignment, gathers the pig, and oops, I swear Turan is barely out of the damn door and the Horned King underlings snatch the pig right out from his hands. He follows the kidnappers and the kidnapped pig to this evil castle. He meets an annoying little mogwai thingy called Gurgi, who takes a hard pass at the offer to sneak into the evil castle and rescue a pig with someone he just met. Turan, for some reason, puts him on blast for being selfish and continues on without him. Okay, if we never see Gurgi again, he will officially be my favorite supporting character ever in a movie. Hey, nice to meet you. Want to help me rescue my pig? No. Well, all right, I'm out of here. Okay, cool. Turan sneaks into the castle. We're like 20 minutes into this thing and there hasn't been a single song. Everything I've learned about Disney so far is a complete lie. After reading that Disney felt impotent, did I write impotent next to The Dark Crystal? I keep trying to see the similarities between the two, but I can't. The animation style of the Black Cauldron is so non-Disney, but yet so familiar, and obviously not trying to compare itself to the live Dark Action Crystal. It's impossible, but it's really bugging me. Turan sneaks into the castle, rescues Hen Wen, but then gets jumped by the guards. Hen Wen escapes and Turan gets captured and thrown in the dungeon. I am loving this animation. It has an edge to it like no other Disney movie I've ever seen. It's in the dungeon we meet another prisoner, Princess Eloy, for a pre-90s female Disney character is oddly capable and wise, appearing immediately on the same level, if not above, the male lead. Princess shows him the catacombs beneath the dungeon and he finds the king's sword. That was easy. We are introduced to another character, a bard called Fuffler Flam. I'm never typing that again. This one deliciously dark moment, he's captured and chained to the wall with outstretched arms, and across from him we see another skeleton chained with outstretched arms, and that's like his future. That's grim. As luck would have it, the king's sword is magic, so Turan lives out his dream of being a warrior by hacking and slashing everything in his way. As he and the princess and the bard make their escape outside the castle, Turan reunites with Gurgi, damn, and worse, the whole wheels completely come off this movie for the next 20 minutes. They end up in like a lake, and then someone flushes the lake, not unlike one would a toilet, and they proceed to get sucked down the swirly, like am I suddenly watching an episode of the Magic School Bus? They end up in an enchanted land of fairies who, would you believe, also happen to have Hen Wen. Give me an F, give me an I, give me an LLER, and what do we got? It's filler. The Fairy King reveals, as well as having the pig, he also knows who has the infamous Black Cauldron and assigns a fairy named Dolly to help retrieve the cauldron. So for those of you keeping track at home, we now have a farmhand turned warrior, tomboy princess, a bard, a furry monster, a magical pig, and now a fairy, who are all embarking on this mission. As an unspoken subplot, Gurgi immediately embarks on a who could be more annoying character contest with Dolly the Fairy. The Horned King has this sniveling little green imp who seems to take the brunt of the evil king's temper. In a disturbing moment that is played for laughs, the imp has to break the bad news to the Horned King that Turan has escaped, so he starts choking himself before he enters the room, like warming himself up for the abuse. Whoa. Okay, heavy metal. Oh, there it is, heavy metal. This doesn't borrow from The Dark Crystal. The Black Cauldron steals from 1981's Canadian adult cartoon heavy metal. The animation and color schemes are so similar. The Horned King looks like the barbarian leader, and even the name Turan is just Tarna rearranged. If Disney wanted to mimic a more mature-themed cartoon to push their own company forward, they definitely did their homework. The hunt for the cauldron takes them to a witch's shack in a swamp, and the eerie animation here is just off the charts. It's like they took the foreboding backgrounds from Snow White and forced them to snort cocaine, which was all the rage in the 80s. The scene is scary, starting with the uncomfortable messiness of the shack's interior, then put over the top by the sudden barrage of angry levitating objects. 3 witches appear, not unlike Hamlet's weird sisters, and I'm left wondering if it's also considered bad luck to say Black Cauldron around the Disney offices. For all the times this movie has taken the usual Disney storytelling crutches and puked them back up into my face, we at least now get to check the unfortunate depiction of women box. While most Disney women are so beautiful that jealousy causes other women to try to actually murder them while they somehow remain completely oblivious to their own height and beauty until they meet a prince, they're seemingly satisfied with their lonely life of chaste solitude. But here in the Black Cauldron storytelling world, one of the witches is stereotypically fat and ugly. That means she's perpetually horny. She immediately begins molesting the bard. When he pushes back her initial sexual advances, she turns him into a frog and stuffs him in her chest. What follows is a long, uncomfortable shot of the frog bar desperately trying to free himself from her cleavage as she bounces up and down. Make a mental note, folks, in 1985, male sexual assault was hilarious. The Weird Sisters would be singing a song by now, and I'm reminded how there are no songs in this Disney movie. They should have been singing. We're coming fast to the third act. The witches admit to owning the cauldron, and they agree to trade the cauldron for Turan's king's stolen sword. He reluctantly agrees, and the animation of the cauldron being unleashed is unbelievable. I feel the ship is straightening itself once again. They prepare to destroy the cauldron once and for all, but plot twist, the witches reveal that the cauldron is indestructible, so it's absolutely no good to anyone, and they cackle and cackle and cackle, and oh, I'm into this movie once again. The protagonists are told the only way to permanently stop the evil forces from ever rising again is for someone to get in the cauldron and destroy it from the inside. Everyone gives that a oh hell no. For whatever reason, a failed mission does it for the princess, and she chooses this moment to try to kiss Turan, but it's broken up by the Horned King's dark army. That happens. That's high school. Okay, Gurgi escapes the Horned King. He captures everyone and finally gets his hands on the Black Cauldron, which he uses to raise the undead army. Now, we as Disney fans are treated to 5 minutes of rotting corpses rising from green, steamy goo. In a lot of ways, this is actually more graphic and terrifying than the visuals in Heavy Metal. This is like Bizarro Disney. Gurgi, the coward that ran away last time, returns a born-again hero, frees the protagonists from the dungeon, and as Turan decides he must sacrifice himself by leaping into the Black Cauldron, Gurgi, this annoying background Gremlins ripoff character, suddenly launches himself into the cauldron instead. Why Gurgi now is eager to commit a selfless act of goodwill suicide is never explained and comes completely out of left field. Whatever his reasons, Gurgi is successful, and the Horned King watches in horror as his army of undead start collapsing into piles of immobile, rotting flesh and bones. I'm trying to put myself into like 1985 kid mode, sitting cross-legged on the carpet in front of a giant tube TV watching a Disney-produced army of zombies caving in on themselves, and I imagine I probably would look like the other George Michael did watching HBO's Oz by mistake. The Horned King sees Turan knows the jig is up and he's responsible, so he attacks Turan, but the cauldron demands more blood and continues to suck everything possible into its ravenous opening. Predictably, it somehow gobbles up the Horned King, his imp, his alive warriors, his dead warriors, and the entire castle, everything except our protagonists. The three witches return to reclaim the useless cauldron, but watch out for the bard, master of reverse psychology. He tricks them into showing off their powers and releasing Gurgi from the cauldron, which they fall for. And hooray, Gurgi's back, says no one ever who watched this movie. As they walk back to the farm, Turan and the princess are in love and return Henwin to Dalbin, who praises Turan for being a brave warrior after all. Roll credits. This movie is indeed a buried gem in the deep catalog. It gets unnecessarily clunky at the halfway point, but it's forgivable because of how unique and atmospheric the overall presentation is. You don't see much like any Black Cauldron representation in the Disneyverse, and it's a shame. The Horned King is the greatest Disney villain I've come across yet. As I put these movies on trial, I judge them by 3 factors: script, animation, and tone/execution. Black Cauldron wonderfully excels at both animation and tone/execution, but failed hard with the script, which is a shame because with a few rewrites, this could easily have been the best Disney movie I've seen so far, but it was hurt by character inconsistencies and multiple unnecessary scenes that were clearly stuffed into this movie only to fill time. That being said, it breaks my heart how close they got to going in a new crazy direction if the Black Cauldron had actually been a success, but it wasn't. Apparently, second lowest grossing Disney movie of all time, ouch. But this is a franchise they need to reboot right now because the world is caught up. Kids can handle a just slightly less scary Harry Potter version of this style of storytelling, and all the Disney movies they shoehorned into an immediate sequel, this one is an absolute limitless no-brainer. I want to see the Horned King bust his way out of that cauldron and fight a silver-haired Tarna from Heavy Metal. That would be good. Some crossover. I'll start crowdfunding.
That's what I think about.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channels that he's allowed to be employed for so long with the standards of journalism and personal appearance that he has. Thank you.